Hi, today I'm interviewing Markus Lenhard. Markus is well known in the tattoo industry for his biomex. He created a new way of doing biomex and is inspiring artists all around the world from about 10 years. I met him about 10 years ago, maybe 9 years ago, online with a piece that everybody knows as the wing. I was impressed by his work. So I started following him on social media and on his website. And finally, I decided to get tattooed by him. Now I have a full sleeve and we're working on my leg. And soon we'll connect them through my chest. So let's get straight to the interview. I'm pretty sure everybody in the industry knows you really well. But how would you introduce yourself to someone who knows nothing about tattoos?
Well, that's it happens sometimes, when you talk to a new neighbor or when you talk to people that have nothing to do with the industry. You go to some kind of party or something, and you know what, people are normally really overwhelmed with like people are normally if they have nothing to do with tattoos, that's already knowing that I'm a tattoo artist and that people come from me from travel for me, that's already a stretch. They can't even imagine why would anybody travel for a tattoo anyways, and to have to put into one conversation to somebody who doesn't tattoo at all, to put into one conversation how tattooing can be so important to somebody that they would travel for something, and that a tattoo can be that we can get so much tattooing done in a couple of days, and that anybody would even want that already blows their mind. And it's normally I don't even start talking about Biomac or showing anybody my work at that point, because people are already their eyes are glazed over and they're not even really listening at that point anymore. Because they're just they're learning so many things that they didn't know. And they're so people they must think holy shit, there's people in the world that are way crazier than I ever thought was possible. So if I then would go on to talk about, and by the way, I'm doing this really super abstract thing, this biomax stuff that most people can't even tell what it is when they look at it, and look at my work, and they're just what the fuck is it? And I'm I don't know, what do you think is it? And I think that it's just that's too much, man. I think it's just too much in one session. I have to build a relationship with somebody first before I can tell them that shit about myself. Because otherwise they're just going to never talk to me again.
Really?
It's happened, that people are just who the fuck does he think he is? It's he's this fucking alien. Which I'm not. I'm not an alien, but for somebody who's never thought about tattooing, even being this kind of super niche biomac artist that only does biomac and only does these big projects on people who travel from all over the world, that seems really out there, and people are just not ready for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that reminds me a question that I wanted to leave for later. Tattoos are considered microsurgery. In my opinion, it's not really microsurgery. Just look at my leg or my arm. It's like plastic surgery at some point. So do you think that people just don't get it? How important can be for a person to get a tattoo?
I don't know.
Or just because they think that tattoos are some little things you get like a sticker on your skin, and so they don't really.
I don't know. Is there more question coming? Because I have a good answer for that. I think I don't think it's necessary for everybody to be on the same page about anything, right? So some people, they want just a small used car that can look like shit and they're only going to have for a year. Some people are totally fine with only owning elderly cars and just having every car that they ever have is just they're the last owner of that car, right? And after they had it, it goes to the dump. And that's what they do their whole life. They don't care about cars. They just care to, to be traveling from one spot to another. And they just don't want to spend a lot of money on a nice car. So they're just going through a lot of cars. And then you have people who save up for years and years and years, and then they buy the car of their dreams, and then they constantly like wax it and polish it and take photos of it and drive it around and drive through tunnels really loud, and all that, and they're super into it, and it's like, oh, I got a fucking car, bitch, and people are different, and cars are just cars to some people, and for some people it's a love affair. And I think the same is true for everything, for absolutely everything.
Also for your own body?
Of course. Oh. Yeah, of course. Some people use makeup, and some people diet, and some people are super into sports and workout, and some people have this micro diet where they just, or some people are religious about their body, and they pluck their eyebrows, and everything has to be perfectly manicured, and they're always wearing cologne, and everything is shaved, and and of course people have like different views on that. And for some people, they just let themselves go, and they just want to live life, and they smoke and they drink and they get fat, and whatever. And
it's a cultural
thing. They fuck everybody without a condom.
Do you think it's a cultural thing?
No, I don't think it's a cultural thing. I think it's a very personal thing. It's a thing of character. It's probably there's some genetics in there, and there's some ways in how you've been raised by your parents, and there's probably a cultural aspect in there, but I don't think it's the biggest aspect, and I don't think even gender is the biggest aspect.
Because I was thinking about cultures where tattoos are sacred, are part of a process, and so that's why I ask if you think it's cultural. Is partly this way of treating our own body like a commodity?
Yeah, I don't think in our culture, like Western culture, tattooing is anything that has anything to do with tradition at this point. Not yet, maybe in 100 years or something from now. But it's not. We don't have this ancient tradition of getting tattooed. We have an ancient tradition to want things. That's white people, right? We just want things. That's a real. If you want to get cultural, right? Then there you go. That's our tradition. We want things. We want people. We want other countries. We want many things. We want to accumulate riches. Like look at the Vikings. It's like people don't get more white than the Vikings. And what did they do? They just raped and pillaged and went everywhere and just wanted things, and they were ready to kill people for it, right? And so it doesn't surprise me at all that people treat tattoos the same way. We just don't have any other mechanism like bred into it culturally than to just want more things. And if we see something somebody else has, then we want that same thing too. And we don't have the mechanism for tattoos that allows us to see that as anything different, that is for us, for our body, that has to be unique, that, so no, it doesn't surprise me that most people treat a tattoo just like anything else that they acquire or buy. What else is special nowadays? What else is so special that you have to appreciate it as something else other than having a child, maybe? But even that people sometimes treat like, fuck, I'm just gonna have a child now.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's a white people thing, maybe, I don't know.
I don't know, maybe we are in a period in which I call, well, not just me, a sort of renaissance of the Western tattoo culture. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think I would agree with that.
Do you think that this kind of, let's call it renaissance of tattoos, of tattoo culture, will bring something good, something more?
Yeah. I mean, just what we just talked about, right?
Yeah. That's why I asked this.
Exactly, just what we just talked about. I think tattooing can be a way to help people appreciate special moments. Like special things, getting something for yourself, getting something that is only for you, something that is uniqueness. And I think especially in a time where we're just bombarded with social media and bombarded with the fact that we are only like one blip, one like in a million likes sometimes, and that we are not that special and that we are not that unique, that everybody kind of has the same wants and feelings and, that we're kind of insignificant. We've never been as confronted with our insignificance on a wide scale level as we are now through social media. And I think we're still in shock because we just have been attacked by social media just for the last 10 years as a species, or maybe a little more than 10 years, but not for a very long time, not even for a generation yet.
Maybe a little less, I think.
Yeah, and for you and me maybe, but my kid grew up with it.
Oh yeah,
she doesn't know anything else, so they're going to grow up vastly different than we do. So I think for them to get a certain sense of uniqueness, a certain sense of being unique, of having something that nobody else has, that's something that makes you, over the fact that you might have a really well manicured mustache, or that you have rainbow colored hair, or that you can take really good selfies of yourself, and you're so confident. Look at how confident you are. Like, all these things don't really matter in the long run, and I think that tattoos can be, especially when you pursue it in a way that I can certainly respect. If you think about it, if you think it out, if you travel for it, if you're willing to make sacrifices for it, if you're willing to sacrifice large amounts of your body for a tattoo, that's something that I can really respect, in the sense of, not only have you really thought about this, but you're able to make sacrifices. You don't want to cherry pick the process. It's like, I want to get a tattoo, but I only want to sacrifice so much space, and then you end up as a whole sticker collection, and maybe that's, and then once you're done, you really think about getting a lot of stuff lasered and getting something that is more cohesive, which, that happens. Doesn't have to. But, I really enjoy it when people make these big decisions in their life. And I think that's something that's probably good for the character of a person that never really has to make these decisions in a society where everything is just from one second to the other. Yeah, I think tattooing is good for us as a species. Wow, that got profound, really.
Yeah, that's the same thing that I think. And I had some softer questions before that. That was good maybe for later, but anyway, it was good. We went into that easily. So another question I had, since the wing, the famous piece you did about what it was 8 years ago, my perception of that is like
10 years.
What?
10 years ago.
10 years, yeah. After I saw the wing, the impression I had is that you became a sort of world phenomenon with that tattoo. This is just the impression I had from outside, and that's when I started following you on social media and appreciate your art, and decided to get tattoo from you. How that affected you as a human and as an artist, and it was something expected, something that happened by chance and totally unexpected. Totally unexpected. So that there was.
Well, let me attack those questions piece by piece. So did that happen unexpectedly? Yeah, totally. I was super depressed when that happened. I was super depressed, and I was actually thinking about stopping tattooing, or stopping to pursue biomech, because I was ready to stop doing biomech. I wasn't ready to stop tattooing, but I was ready to just do tattooing as a job and not something that I love, and something that is made for me and that I am made for, which I believed at some point. And then I realized how hard it is, and how derivative it is, and how everybody just steals from everybody, and how I am doing that too. And then I stopped doing biomech for a while, and I think that piece and a couple of other pieces, something happened, and something happened, and but it was a gradual process. It didn't just happen and from one day to the other. I was like, holy shit, I'm super successful now. I think being successful in what I did came before that already, gradually. Mostly because I've had influential friends. I had friends that that liked me and that liked my work and that wanted to help me along. And like Guy, for example, Guy Aitchison is probably one of the people who without him I would have never even, like, I might have done the wing sleeve without him, although I doubt it, but nobody would have seen it, right? Because he always made sure that I get attention because he saw something in me. So I'm incredibly grateful for that. But it's also that wing sleeve came from pain, you know, that came from panic, that came from me just really, really struggling. And I was struggling so hard that I just started to panic and I lost myself a little bit, and all of a sudden something came out that I didn't even thought I had in me. And that was a good moment, you know. And sometimes it just and since then I haven't really plateaued out. Since then I know what to look for. When I get bored with myself, I have to push myself to an edge, and then I have to relax and sit back and see what happens, you know. It's like a little bit of a balancing act, and sometimes you get to surprise yourself. But I don't really see it as me becoming some kind of phenomenon or anything like that. I didn't really experience it that way. It definitely helped my career. That piece definitely did something. And it showed me how to do something right. It definitely showed me that, hey, there is something that I can do that I really like doing, that everybody else also likes. So, and then my whole process just turned into finding out what that is. You know, what's the recipe? What did I do? Because I did it in panic, so I didn't know what I did. I had no fucking idea what I just did there that made it so important. So I started picking apart, like, okay, was it the use of black? Was it the thick lines? Was it the contrast? Was it the flow? What was it? What is it? Was it that people can... Because I didn't call it a wing.
So you went back analyzing
I went back analyzing. I still do. I still analyze every piece that I do that gets a lot of attention, because I want to know what makes people tick. And I think with a wing, I didn't give it that name. People gave it the name. Oh, it looks like a wing, and I just adopted it. And from there on out, I started giving my pieces names, because I thought, oh, maybe that was something that people needed some kind of narrative, because it is so abstract, right? The stuff that I do is super abstract, and I think what they enjoyed is like, oh, but it looks kind of like a wing, and they had this little winning moment where there was like, oh, I think I know what he means, you know, I think I know what he's trying to say is it's a wing. He's retarded, but I can understand him. You know, I can understand the retarded person. That's awesome. I have a superpower, you know. So it gives the people like a certain feeling of like they found something out, you know. It is like this winning moment, and I think that's what cements it maybe in their memory a little bit. So
do you think it was a sort of golden seed?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think for me it probably was, yeah. But it didn't come from a good place. And you know, my experience has been that most of the times when something good happens, it happens when something really bad is also happening.
Yeah, I was just talking with a friend yesterday about that. He's struggling in his life for many reasons, and I was just telling him the same thing that you're telling me right now, that usually golden seed, you find golden seed when you're struggling with something in your life. So probably...
Yeah, because that's when you're looking.
Yeah.
That's when you're looking under every stone, and you turn every stone around, you know, and under some stone there's going to be something else but worms and shit, you know. Sometimes you'll find something of value, but you know, if you're super broke, you're gonna look on the street if you find a coin somewhere, right? You never look for coins if you're full of money, if you're doing well. You throw a coin away every now and then. It's like, what should I do with all that copper, right? Copper coins, meh. But if you don't have a copper coin, even, you're looking for that shit everywhere, and that's when you find it. You know, and to expect that things just fly into your hands when you don't even need them that hard, that's kind of a tall order. I think that's really an arrogant thing to ask of the universe, kind of, right? I mean, you have to struggle, and you have to be in a bad place. People who are given everything without that struggle are most of the times real assholes.
I agree.
Because they don't have a value system, right? So That's why you don't put rich people in power. That's why you don't do that. You put people in power that work for that power, right? That come to that place because they worked really hard for it. And they know what they're talking about. I mean, not to talk about current events or anything. But yeah, people, you know, I think an appreciation for what you're doing is always coming from struggle. And not even some people nowadays, they put themselves through some kind of artificial struggle. You know, I've noticed that with younger people, that they put themselves through a struggle artificially, where they're like, oh yeah, I'm making it really hard on myself. I'm making it really extra hard on myself. Yeah, but that's really still coming from yourself. You're still calling the shots. You're still calling the rules. Like when I was growing up, I come from a really good household. You know, we had money. I had everything I ever needed. I never had a reason to complain. But of course I did, because I was a terrible teenager. And I became a punk, you know, and I was just like riding trains and drinking beer and you know, living in squalid places and you know, and not wanting any of the money and not wanting to do anything to do with the establishment. So just to make it really hard on myself, I think, like retrospectively, making it really hard on myself to turn into a grown up, you know, or to know who I am, or I didn't want it to be easy. And some people make it really hard on themselves. And I think I still was calling the shots. I could still say like, oh, I'm not a punker anymore. I'm going to like start working and earn money, which is eventually what I did. So you're still kind of in that safe environment. So that's definitely a way to do it. But I think if you're really struggling, once you stop calling the shots, once you think you're doing something well and it turns out that you don't, or once you think you can do something and it turns out that you can't, and you have to, that's when there's a real opportunity for growth, when there is that Darwinistic pressure on you. And then it's going to come out, you know, will you survive or will you not? Do you have to find something else to do? And for me, doing that wing sleeve, that was definitely that moment of, okay, am I just going to do like tattoos, like trinket tattoos in the street shop for the rest of my life? Still better than working construction. Yeah. You know, still earn more money, still, you know, still a great life. Like, who am I to fucking complain about that? I would have done it. I still would do that. If this is not working out anymore, I'm still going back to that. Fuck it. I'm not too good for that. But, you know, as long as I don't have to.
And about the heart, the design of that wing, it happened just by chance? You were just improvising, or there was some research?
Well, no, there was no research behind it. I had a phase of drawing no biomech whatsoever. So I took a break from it. And that's one thing that probably was really good, where you don't just try doing something, but you take a step back and you only think about it. I think that's always a great thing to do, to internalize whatever you learned, to give yourself like some time for that to percolate or to germinate or to ferment or whatever you want to call it. And but that was definitely good. But I was drawing a lot of Japanese-based, like new school Japanese tattooing. I was doing a lot of that, and just learning how to draw water, learning how to draw scales on a dragon or a dragon claw or a dragon face, and learning how to draw all these things. That informed a lot of things that I wouldn't have learned any other way. So also, you know, just I had to change my taste. You know, I only liked biomech. I didn't like anything else. So you didn't
have educational training?
No, I didn't.
You're just self-taught?
Totally, yeah. I'm completely self-taught, yeah. And you know, so I had to make all the mistakes. And for me personally, mistakes are the best way of learning, because I'm super arrogant. You know, like as long as I know something, I think I know everything. And then only if I walk into a cul-de-sac, that's when I learn, okay, I have to turn around. And, you know, and obviously as I get older, I get a little bit more humble, because, you know, you experience a lot more often how you're wrong. So if you stay arrogant, then you're just dumb. So I don't think I'm dumb.
No, I don't.
But I'm not as arrogant anymore, for sure. So it's easier now.